Hi everyone, it's Taki here. I've recently finished my levels and I'll be studying architecture in university. This is the portfolio that I've used to apply to my course, and yeah, today let's have a look through it.
Little disclaimer, guys. Basically, I wanted to show you guys the actual version of my portfolio. However, I did the recording, but the recording just came so bad, so I just decided to show you the exact same work but in the digital format of it, the digital version of it. I've divided my portfolio into 5 different projects. 3 of them are extracurricular work and 2 of them are school projects. I've decided to initially show to the interviewer my extracurricular work in my portfolio because they are the most architectural, and I really wanted to bring the attention of the interviewer from the very beginning that this is an architectural portfolio and this is what I want to study from the very beginning of my portfolio. My first project that I've decided to show is called Yesterday, Today, Tomorrow, and it was a project that was really focused on time, as you can see from the title above, and climate change. In my first slide, as you can see, I included some sketchings, and these were my initial sketchings that I've done in this course. And they were really random sketchings, and since I wanted to give a response to this project through a architectural model, initially just randomly drew these modernist looking buildings because I questioned myself for what type of buildings I like, and I like modernist buildings, and I just started randomly drawing this type of buildings. Okay, here in the next slide, as you can see, I've done a three-dimensional model. Here I just tried to translate my previous sketchings into a three-dimensional model, and it doesn't really have the most meaning to it because it was just the beginning of the course, and here I was just experimenting with different materials. Here I used, for example, cardboard and foam board, and it was more to get myself comfortable with model making. Since the course was really experimental, we were really pushed to experiment with really different techniques and methods that we never done before in school or college. I can't really remember the name of this technique, but it was something used for textile students, and we basically used piece of cloth and cut out other strips of plastic or other materials like cloths or other soft plastics and compressed with a heat compressor, and you're sort of like trying to draw with materials. And here I tried to draw my previous model that I've done, 3D model that I've done. The idea of this model wasn't the most creative at all. Here I tried to just remake the model that I've done initially, my first three-dimensional model, but with a different material. Here I used mud rock. I covered mud rock over the foam board and tried to remake the exact same model. However, because the mud rock kept falling and it kept breaking, I just couldn't do it, and I was at the point to just throw away. However, it was a really happy mistake because it just before throwing it away, I just saw it and just it made me remember it kind of looks like something that's been destroyed, and I can really well link it to the project Yesterday, Today, Tomorrow, climate change, and explore the idea of destruction which climate change is bringing. Here I've done here I've done sketchings, really quick sketchings to just decide the composition that I want to make my final piece and final 3D model. This is my final response to the project Yesterday, Today, Tomorrow, and climate change, as he is focused on, and I tried to make a symbolism of for each of these layers of yesterday, which is symbolized through the arch in the front, which is like tried to make it as much solid and resistant as possible to show how yesterday climate change wasn't really impacting us and the buildings, so they were more strongly like they weren't destroyed. However, tomorrow, because, for example, the rising of sea levels and the global warming and all the effects of climate change, we will unfortunately have a lot of destruction, as you can see from this, for example, broken windows and just a really messy composition. But however, today has been, I try to symbolize it through the use of bright colors and to show that we have to have hope despite this is a really likely to happen, all this distraction. This project was called Making Things Better, as you can see from the title above, and it was a project that I've done with a university, the University of the Arts London at Central St. Mines to be more specific. And it was a project that was really focused on creating something that could bring the whole community together. We were initially given 5 different programs and we had to choose one. I decided to choose Grow and explore this program, and as you can see, I mentioned a lot of I did mind maps and brainstorm ideas, and I also mentioned in my portfolio in this specific slide, we were just given this task to explore as much as you can our area and understand the places that bring the whole community together. I did mention like my initial drawings, and these were like sort of mind maps and used to understand where to place, for example, the toilet, the rooms in my actual floor plan that I was about to do later on. These are the floor plans that I've done throughout my project, and as you can see on the top left hand corner, I started off with a really different shape and finished up with a really diverse shape from where I started off. And yeah, these are the development of my floor plans that I've done throughout the project. This was my final piece for the project, Making Things Better, and I'm not gonna go too deep on it because otherwise it's gonna take me so long to explain it. But yeah, Science was a project that was focused on making something that can bring the whole community together. I just thought of doing this buildings. I decided to do a floor plan for a cafe and a toy shop and a garden all in one place, so that hopefully it can bring the whole community of from really different ages all together in one place. I'm not gonna, as I said, not gonna go too deep on all the meaning of these shapes and buildings and the composition of it, because otherwise it's gonna take me just so long to explain it. I've also decided to incorporate some photography in my portfolio because it's something that I really enjoy doing, and also I mentioned in my personal statement. This project was called the Collection Project, and it was also done with Central St. Mines, and it was a project that was focused on exploring something that we collect, and I decided to do shoes because it's the only thing that I have a multiple of them, and decided to focus on the three-dimensional aspect of them and explore that area. In my first page of this project, I've included my initial drawings, and these were one-line drawings, and as you can see, yeah, just really quickly done these drawings and then try to extract different shapes from these drawings and try to develop them into three-dimensional aspects, and this was my initial idea. I just started cutting off different shapes of my old school shoes and tried to make new forms out of it. Yeah, as similar to the previous slide, I was just experimenting with different forms and just making new things, like trying to take something from a shoe like these shapes and then recreating them with different materials. This is the last slide of my project, the collection project, and yeah, as you can see, I just tried to develop more the initial three-dimensional model that I've done with a with a piece of my shoe, and try to develop that by using mud rock and foam board. Schoolwork, finally. Here I've just included 2 of my projects that I've done in school, just because they are a bit least architectural compared to my extracurricular work. I decided to include in the schoolwork section It was called, as you can see, the sci-fi project, which I've done in my graphic design slash graphic communication A levels. And the goal of this project was to come out with at the end with a stop motion animation. And since I was doing sci-fi, I decided to focus on robots. And yeah, these were my initial drawings of robots. And yeah, then I just developed them more. The model of the robot that I decided to make and did the movement by slowly photographing each movement of it and then just compose it later on the computer. This is the final page that I decided to include in my portfolio for the sci-fi project, and it's just the screenshot of my sort of final piece of the stop motion animation that I've done. I'll try to leave a link down below on the description box of the animation, or I'll just pop it up in the screen. Lastly, this is my A-level art project, Architecture and Cityscape, and I decided to explore it through abstract and expressionist responses. It's the last slide of my portfolio, and yeah, I just ended there with my mock exam piece that I've done during my A-level art, and yeah, I also submitted it in some competitions, and Alhamdulillah, I managed to win them as well. And yeah, I just included this in my portfolio.
If you made it so far, thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, click the like button and press the notification bell, because I'll be releasing really soon a video where I'm gonna share my top tips how to build a successful architecture portfolio for university.